We're here. Finally, the new newsroom, the reorganized newsroom. Apologies already in the beginning. This desk, it looks a little small for me. I meant to shrink down myself before we started. I have literally been hours trying to get this together before we started tonight. I'm sort of watching the preview screen here, making sure everything goes right. I also cannot currently see. That's okay. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to assume that you can hear me right now. Tonight is super special. One, because using Kylie's desk. God damn it. Yeah. So I've been looking around for different assets, and I'm still working with an artist that's doing it. And but I just threw something together myself last night, and this is the result. It looks pretty cool. This is the Death Star around me. This desk is a space desk. It's just a tiny space desk as well. Now I need to fix a couple of things, and as usual, because this is the new room, it's a little bit of a new format. There's a new guest format. There's a guest on the show today. As always, after the stream, Twitch message, however you can get a hold of me, do so and tell me what's weird, what's good, what sounded great, what did not look great. I need all that kind of feedback to make it look better as we go. As we usually do to start the news broadcast, we talk about the new things that are happening with the stream. We almost always do that. So obviously we're in the Death Star now. This format will be the same from now on. You'll see these topics over here on the left. They will give you an idea of what we're talking about, and as we move forward in the program, they become active and non-active. There'll be a little bar beneath me that also has information, like a side topic. And up here in the corner, where that red box is, I have some pictures and videos to go along with each of the topics. There was not enough time for that today. There was not enough time for anything today. So that's going to have to wait until next week. And hopefully that'll be more of an interactive part, courtesy of Stream Deck Operations. The other interesting thing that I've decided to do, I mentioned last week I had kind of a longer talk about this new community on Twitch called Twitch Kittens, which actually we'll talk about that a little bit later in the stream, right around here in the Twitch growth area of topics. So one of the streamers I saw uses what's called a face rig, and that might be pretty common for people that watch Twitch. I have never seen it, and I've been on Twitch for a couple of years and streaming for a while and watching Twitch shows or whatever. I guess I didn't put together that's maybe what Dr. Disrespect uses to turn into Mecha Doc or whatever it is. So I was watching a fellow TK streamer use it, and I was like, whoa, that's so interesting. How do you do that? She gave me all this information. Now I'm looking, I have some proposals in to me. I just need to go through them to create my own face rig. It'll be pretty cool. It might go along with this theme that you see here, but like a cool kind of area where all of a sudden I transform into a Sith. Maybe that's what it's going to be. And then I lightsaber fight with somebody. I don't know. We'll see. So that's kind of the updates on the stream. I can't think of anything else that's new. We're pretty close to having everything I want to have. Again, I'm still working with the artist to tweak this out. This is just my what's the word? My vision for what this would be, and my very, very mediocre Photoshop skills is what you see here. Okay, the second part of the stream that we always do every week is what are we drinking? What I now call what's on tap. And this is when I'm going to bring in our guest for today. His name is Mike, and he is, actually, let me just go to that right now. Hello, Mike. Nothing. So this is what's on tap. Every week we do, hey, what beer are you drinking? Some of the weeks it has been Boylan's Ginger Ale and coffee and water. This week, Southern Tier Double IPA. Yeah, it's delicious. And what do you have, sir? That couldn't be a shorter name. It's all right. Cool. Yeah, so we'll do that. What's on tap, pretty much. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't put up your thing. Let me describe Mike again. Mike and I used to work together at NASA, which, as you may or may not know, is a part of this stream. From all of the information that you might see on the top or bottom of my page, his Twitch link should be down here someplace at this point. And you can follow him. He streams different games during the week, which we might get into a little later. But actually, Mike and I started streaming when we first worked at NASA at Glenn. And we were streaming this game called Puzzle and Dragons. And this is, what's that, like 2 years ago now? Something like that? Okay. Okay, 4.5 years ago, there was a game called Puzzle and Dragons. And we played it. And it was basically Bejeweled, but you could level up your characters. I don't know how to describe it. I see like ads and stuff all the time on Instagram for games that look exactly like that game. So I think that game kind of spun off a lot of, rip-offs. Right. And it was funny because that's actually where a huge portion of my follower count came from, was from that game. Because I think at the time there was like 2 people streaming it. Mike, myself, and maybe one other person. Okay. So the way this works is when we go through these topics, some will... Can't hear Mike. Uh-oh. Something messed up. Thank you. Say something again, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, guess what? Now everybody can hear you. Again,
fantastic.
This is... Thank you, by the way, wife. That was fantastic. So, I will recap what we just talked about. Mike is drinking some beer. It is okay. Mike used to work at NASA. The end of... You're now caught up.
Hey, you left out the whole thing about Pat.
Oh, yeah. And, well, no, they heard my part of the conversation, so I guess that's fine. That's the only interesting part. So, one of the main topics I want to talk about, so usually on the show we do, like, interesting topics from the week in terms of gaming or entertainment news. One of them, actually, I'm really embarrassed that we can't talk about, and that is the Deadpool trailer, because I haven't watched it yet. So, I feel...
You should just take a time out right now and pull it up. That's what you should do.
I'm pretty upset about that. Actually, I do have one thing I want to talk about beforehand. Since you have been on the show before, not on the show, but talking in the chat about Marvel shows, have you finished Jessica Jones?
I did, just the other day.
Wow, okay. Give me your 5-second debriefing. What was your thoughts?
I don't think it was as bad as you made it out to be.
Oh, okay.
But it's not in the good category.
Okay.
It's fair. I don't know. It was reasonably entertaining, but it's not something I have any desire to watch a second time.
Right. Did you think, as I thought, and by the way, if you haven't seen Jessica Jones yet and you're watching this channel, cover your ears, or, I mean, I don't care. It's been like a month or several weeks. There was one episode where Kilgrave comes back. Do you agree in that was the best episode of the season?
I actually found it to be a very, very obnoxious episode.
God damn it.
Because it's like anytime she did anything, he was just there in her face. And it's like, yeah, okay, I got it. This is what happens to her every time she's mad. I watched the whole season of it. I wasn't really looking forward to another episode of it. Because he's dead. If there was some possibility of him being alive, fine. But there's not. He's dead.
Damn it. Yeah, I guess. I see what you're saying. I wish they would have done that from the beginning, but maybe used it less per episode. I think he came back like into the scene probably like 12 times in that one episode. But
if they was constantly in her face, and by the end of the episode, there were like 13 of him sitting in a room yelling at her.
Yeah, that actually was a little bit weird. That might have been too much. Jessica Jones is a detective or a private eye of some kind. Also a superhero, a super powered person, a powered person.
I wouldn't call her a superhero necessarily.
A super person. Yeah, but anyways, the show, I mean, it was just like a nightmare of when the mom was involved. I did not like that storyline at all. I think it's because she
Well, it
went
was better than
from,
the Patsy storyline.
yeah, that was bad as well. What powers does she have? She falls uh, a lot, or so. How does she describe flying? She jumps high or something like that. It's like a joke in the show that she can't really fly, but
I
she
forget
can
it. It's in like the first episode of season 1.
jump high. Yeah, and she's super strong. I don't know if she's as strong necessarily as Luke Cage, or if she's supposed to not be as strong. I don't really understand. It doesn't matter. We can move beyond that. I thought that season was way more disappointing than I wanted it to be. I was super high on season 1, and I will give you that before the second season aired, you said it's not going to be as good as you think it's going to be. I remember that.
When the trailer had no new footage, and by no new footage I mean nothing from season 2, you had to be concerned. It was either
Yeah.
going to be the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life, and that's why they're keeping it hidden, or the more likely scenario of it kind of sucks and they don't really have anything to show you, and okay.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Okay, anyways, let's talk about Battlefront 3. I'm gonna go to sleep. Have a good night, man. So Battlefront, or EA rather, this week announced that they're gonna take all loot boxes out of the game, and maybe I should rephrase that. They're taking them out of the progression path so that you don't need to get random loot boxes in order to level up or gain XP. So now you just gain XP, and I think, pretty sure, I haven't reinstalled, but I checked with some friends that are still playing it, that as you play, you gain currency, and then you can open boxes, and they give you different things, not tied to power or experience, which is fantastic.
So they're all cosmetic?
That's the goal, I think. I don't know if that's in right now, but I think that's the goal. I know they
Okay.
explicitly took out the you open a box and get experience cards, I think. But anyways, the question is, tied with the question below this, is it too late for Battlefront? Battlefront went on sale for like $25 this week, which is like 1/3 of the cost of the actual game. So that kind of makes you think, wow, were they really that bad off? You know what I mean? Did they lose that many initial sales due to all the bad press for gating and for loot box, progression only? The gambling crisis or whatever, where all those guys, I talked about it last week, where the guys from ESA and the ESRP were like in Hawaii trying to lobby the guy, I forget his name, like the representative from Hawaii that was sort of pushing for these loot boxes to be classified as gambling. So they sent all their lobbyists there to get them to think otherwise. I don't know if that actually happened or not. I haven't heard any result of that. But I do know that all of a sudden we have Battlefront 2 at like less than half price. We have EA saying, hey, there's no more paid loot boxes. And also this week, all of a sudden we get the news that EA is working on an open world Star Wars game now. So I don't know if those are all tied together. Usually those things are pretty coordinated. But we'll see if it turns out to be like KOTOR or something like that. I don't know if did you ever play that game, Knights of the Old Republic?
No, I've not really played any Star Wars game that doesn't involve Legos.
Well, those are pretty popular Star Wars games. Those are probably closer to the actual Star Wars than the other games. No, there's a game called KOTOR where you could like create. I mean, I played it for like a minute, but tons of the mobile game characters come from that game, that series. But it's like you can kind of run around and be your own guy, and you meet up with the characters from Star Wars. You can be a Jedi and make decisions, and it's almost like an MMO, but not the actual Star Wars MMO, but in like a Skyrim type world.
Okay.
So the question is, are they making a new Skyrim that's Star Wars?
Well, so it depends, I think, on what happens with Battlefront. My guess is, just as a software developer, that they had a mistake, and they're just taking a Hail Mary to see if the game can be salvaged. And I think, and because I think we talked about this at some point, I don't know if we're doing it tonight or not, but these games are in beta for like 2 years. They'll come out with a patch that ruins the game, right? But they can re-salvage it with a launch, like the official launch.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of people who never heard of the game because it was just early access. So they could do a free patch version of Battlefront, just like a full like relaunch if this proves to have some success and sort of draw people back in. At which point, whatever other game they're clearly working on, whatever the next thing is, maybe that buys more time for that to come out. Maybe that then becomes a more polished game. Otherwise, you might be worried about whatever this new game is, whether it's a Skyrim or a MMO or whatever. That might not be good either.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I know that one of my friends, Henry, who is still playing Battlefront quite a bit, I think because he loves the Star Battle or the Starfighter battles or whatever you call it, the ship fights are really exciting and really great in that game, and which is the only reason why he plays it, really. But he was saying that the DLCs that are coming out are all free DLCs now. So they're thinking one's going to be like the Han Solo DLC and then the Clone Wars DLC and all this other stuff. So I don't know if they were intending for them to be paid, but I know that now they're definitely free. So it sounds like all of a sudden EA was like, oh shit, we need to try and get some money out of this and drop the price, try and get more people to buy at the reduced price.
Yeah, I think they might want to look at a second relaunch, just like sort of a repackaging, change the menus, make it look shiny all over again. Yeah. But still kind of be the same game with a couple updates.
Which is so terrible because that game I bought, if you remember back from a couple of news sessions ago, I bought that game pre-ordered it, like the fancy edition, the Death Trooper edition, whatever the fancy one is. And I played it for like 3 days. And because I bought the fancy edition, I got like the head start package where you get to play it like 6 days early. And Origin, which is EA's platform for streaming games, has a policy where you can return the game within 24 hours of launch. But I had already played it for 6 days, so I knew exactly what the game was going to be. So I returned it before that even happened. They gave my money right away. Yeah, I could tell pretty quickly that game was not what I wanted, basically. But to the game's credit, the game looks freaking amazing, and it sounds really, really amazing. They just really, messed up the progression system so bad that it turns everyone off, like in the first 2 days, and they've lost tons of sales from that in the first week. But which is too bad because we need a good Star Wars game. There hasn't been one in a long, long time. Except for maybe the Lego games are probably the best one that's come out in a long time. Unfortunately. Let's go to
the nice thing that came out of all of that is that Apple and I think Google Play have demanded that games with loot boxes have to disclose their drop rates.
Yeah, they have. I'm not sure. I guess I need to look up what if they've released the drop rates for the Star Wars mobile game that I play. I have definitely heard that they're required to.
Yeah, so I know the Marvel game that I play, they have drop rates for, I'll say sort of roster-wide improvements. And to get like the fancy ones, some of them aren't even good, but to get the fancy ones, it's like a 0.001% drop rate. And it's about, to do 10 boxes is about $10.
10 boxes, $10, and then you get a 0.001% chance to get anything good out of those 10 boxes.
Yeah, so you could spend $1,000 and not get one of these things, and It's not actually unreasonable.
So, here's a question: you've been playing that game for a while, and I know you stream it. Marvel Final Fight, right? Marvel Heroes
Future
Final
Fight.
Fight, Future Fight. Yeah. Final Fight, I think, is a different fighting game.
Final Fight is an old school Capcom side scroller.
Yes, that's what I'm confusing it with. But before those were released, the drop rates, had you bought boxes in the game previous to that?
No. I had sort of learned from our Pat days what loot boxes were like. The difference was when I was streaming Pad, the entertainment value was there, not only for me, but for the viewers and all of that.
Yeah.
and the drop rates weren't that terrible. Um,
True.
they were bad, but when I played, they would release, it was about 12, the Godfest characters. There were about 12 of them. And if I did 10 polls, maybe I got two. You know what I mean? So, and the other ones, there were some that were like mid-tier, and yes, there were some that were utter trash and a waste of your time. But for the most part, like if I did 10, I didn't feel like I got ripped off. I felt like I got something out of it. Maybe it wasn't what I, but I got something, and you could progress. But with the drop rates that are in Future Fight, you can play it and you can do your 10 polls and literally spend $10 and get the exact same thing you would have gotten had you not dropped any money in the game. Like everything would have been a duplicate and you got nowhere.
So after seeing the drop rates, do you talk on the forums? Has everyone just said, "Yeah, we're not buying anything in this"?
Well, so I know a lot of people have said they're not buying it. Clearly, somebody is because they're still in the game. They haven't changed anything. But since the rates have come out, more and more things that didn't used to be paywalled are becoming paywalled. So the game is moving slowly and slowly towards you have to pay to get the update situation. Like in the last update, they announced five characters? I'm gonna say 5 characters. One of them you could farm, and the other 4 were paywall.
Oh, Jesus.
They have since given you a start of one of the characters, but it's worthless. It's like, I don't know your Star Wars game, but you have like stars for your characters. So I assume they give you like a 2-star character, and it's like, well, hey, he's going to do well against this 7-star, R2D2, right? And like, you give me a 2-star. What was that? It's just like baiting you into buying stuff so that you can make him better.
Right, true. And that's exactly how Star Wars is too. Like they give you the really basic character, and then you won't ever have a chance to farm shards out of that character for like months. You know what I mean? That's the only time it'll become available to farm any shards. But so that'll be interesting to see how that affects games coming up. Our next topic we sort of glanced on for a minute is the early access indefinite loop, I would call it. Maybe there's a lot of games that like sort of just stay in early access for a long time, and I think DayZ might have been one of those a long time ago. I put the small pond of Thieves at the bottom as a joke on the game that was released this week called Sea of Thieves, which has I say it's taken over Twitch. It really hasn't. It's not close to the top 5 games. The top 3 are like always the same. But there's a lot of people streaming Sea of Thieves right now. And that game came out, I think, on Tuesday. And there is a huge portion of that population of players that bought the game that are now no longer playing that game. And that's because the game involves getting a crew together and sailing around on a ship, which sounds pretty awesome. And I watched some streams, and the water looks great. And it's kind of a different approach. Like, you get to sail on a ship. That's pretty cool. There's not a lot of other games doing that. But from what I hear, players kind of quickly realize that there's not much to do after you're sailing around. You sail around, you collect some chests. You can return to port, and I believe save the chests or open the chests. If you are attacked at sea, you have a chance to lose that chest, so you could have played the whole time and then lose your chest to like a PvP environment. And one of the things I just heard today, which I had not seen yet, is that the respawn in this game is crazy, where if you're in like a fight with another player and you die for whatever reason, your ship gets sank or whatever it is, the player who died can pretty quickly respawn, and the respawn is like close to that proximity. So it's almost like you can keep fighting the same person over and over again. It's kind of a weird situation. But it's interesting. My friends that play it are saying that it seems like a game that made it to beta, or what they call beta is like strange and suffer, because once you get to beta phase, when the people say beta testing, you're really just like getting bugs. There's going to be no major changes to the game at that point. The game's like pretty much finished except for some bugs. But they say it kind of feels like a game that was a beta test or like a tech test that they just said, let's release it. Everyone bought it because it's sailing on a ship with some friends, which, by the way, they all say is the best part of the game, obviously, is getting some friends and sailing around, which I can understand that. There's games that are awesome multiplayer, which are just god-awful when you're playing by yourself. WoW is probably one of those games. Yeah, so the Sea of Thieves thing is a little bit weird. And to go on, like, to piggyback on that with probably the two most popular games on Twitch right now, Fortnite and PUBG, Fortnite is still in early access. Like, when you load up the game, it says early access, battle royale, or whatever, because that portion of the game is early access. Or they call it that. When it leaves early access, who knows? What are they changing? Like, are they just using the early access as a cover to, you know, any of the loopholes? Oh yeah, it's early access, that's why it's broken like that. PUBG was notoriously in early access for like forever. I think I put 600 hours into PUBG before it came out of early access. And in that time, they had gained an incredible amount of money. Not even halfway, 75% through PUBG's early access cycle. Before, by the way, the developer had announced that there would be no paid loot boxes. There's nothing paid about the game. It's all you earn the money in the game and then you spend that on cosmetics. And then like 3/4 of the way through early access, they're like, oh yeah, except there's going to be a special event and it's going to be like a tournament. And in celebration of that tournament, we're going to release a special chest, which has access to cool clothes, which by the way, do not change the gameplay, just cosmetic. And you can have them if you pay $2 a box. So at some point they said, nah, we'll take a little bit of money. You know what I mean? So a game, it just seems weird that games can sort of float in early access and beta. And it's partly because that's how Steam does it too. Steam allows like an early access sale. And collect all this money in the meantime and not have to officially say, yeah, we're launched. It's a full launch now. It's a weird situation.
Well, I mean, you basically stopped playing Spire on stream.
Yeah.
You know, and that game's not even out yet.
That's true. That's another good example. Yeah, Slay the Spire. Before I acquired my second job, I was streaming during the day. Now I don't have enough time to do that, but I played Slay the Spire during the day because it's an easy game to sort of play and then look away for a minute and do some work and then come back. That game is in early access. It's very fun, by the way. It's only $15, but yeah, that game has been in early access for a while too. But at least they say that once the game goes live, we have another character, we have some other modes and stuff. So there's other stuff that come with the full launch, not just like if Fortnite. If the developers of Fortnite said today, oh yeah, tomorrow our game's going to be full launch, it'd be okay. The game's completely polished. It's completely finished. It's just, they just call it early access. It's
well, so my first experience with the early access was with a game called Smite. I don't know how familiar you are with it.
Yeah,
it's like a third-person MOBA.
Mm-hmm.
It was in. They didn't call it early access back then. It was like beta or something. You know, whatever term they wanted to use. And they Hi-Res, who made the game, they had their channel up. They had 24/7 streamers. So all day, whenever you wanted to watch the game, you could watch the game. People were playing it. You could go download it. It was free. It had that League of Legends model where you can pay to get stuff, or you can just grind the game out a lot and you can get stuff. Right. You know, it's sort of like pay to progress faster. And then one day they announced game launch. And they were like, we're going to launch our game in 2 months. And everyone was like, oh, awesome. And then the game launched in 2 months, and it looked like it did 2 months earlier.
Yeah.
It was just like, they just now declared, yeah, okay, we're out of beta now.
Well, is it a way to like...
Maybe like hardcore Smite players would tell you, oh, no, you know, they added this and they added that. But as a casual like observer of the game, it didn't look any different. They didn't appear to be any modes. They didn't appear to be anything they hadn't already shown off. They had the same sort of update schedule for patches and all these things. So other than changing some sort of fictitious label that they put on the game, I don't know what changed. I mean, I think maybe they had a party, and therefore their game is now real. Even though I feel like it had been real the whole time.
Do you think maybe used as a way to hype the game again? Like at a certain point during early access, the game might start losing steam.
But that's sort of what I brought up with the Star Wars that we are talking about in the previous segment, was that you can use a launch or a relaunch to sort of draw eyeballs back to your game. It doesn't always work. I can tell you with Street Fighter Cross Tekken, it had a disastrous launch.
Oh,
and they patched it a couple times, and then finally they had a patch that made the game, in my opinion, really, really fun. But the damage was done.
Right.
So some games can be salvaged, and some games you can actually make it the game that it should have been on launch, but it's too late. You know, people have given up. I think it's a Hail Mary worth trying, because I think the expense of creating a new game versus, I don't know, adding a little polish to an existing one is probably financially a better move in some cases. But sometimes you can just read the tea leaves, you know, just say, this is dead. There's no coming back from this.
Right.
And the other thing is, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that there's another kind of interesting example, not necessarily of early access, but you've heard of the game Star Citizen?
No.
So there's a game called Star Citizen, which I believe, and I should probably check my facts on this, but I think it is the still the current highest grossing Kickstarter project of all time. And I'm talking like $900 million or something like that. And but this guy came up with this idea for a game called Star Citizen, and it's basically the most ambitious game ever. Like it's a space game where you can go to different planets, and you kind of like land on a planet through the atmosphere and physically land, and then you take off and go back into space and go to another planet. You can board other ships. You can go to space stations. Like it's all these crazy amounts of game systems in one. And the game has been in development for like maybe 6 years now. $900 million, 6 years now. And they offer packages where fans of the game or people interested in playing the game when it drops can buy ships. And supposedly the ships you buy before the game launches you can pay for in real money, and once the game launches you cannot buy them in real money anymore. It's only in-game currency. So people are spending, like Henry, who the friend who's really interested in space fighters, obviously he's interested in this game. I'm interested in this game, by the way. But he was saying that there's guys on the forum that are saying they spent $30,000-$40,000 on this game so far. Yeah,
what?
on a game that's not even launched. They have a tech demo that's out. You can log in and like get into a spaceship. I don't think you can fly anywhere. Maybe you can, but it's not like anything you can really play with. And it's still ongoing. Like there's no end date to the development. They have their own like con. I think it's called like Star Citizen Con or something like that. Some kind of gathering. I forget the name. It might not be a con, but they have like their own press conference and an event day for Star Citizen. And
this is the most amazing scam I've ever heard of.
And well, that's what some people are saying. Like it just keeps getting pushed out forever, and people keep buying these ships and giving them more money, and they're saying like this is either going to be like literally the greatest game that's ever been made, or, and by the way, there's a lot of worries with that. Like the game development has been going on for so long. At some point, is the engine you've built out of date? You know what I mean? There's a new, better thing. There's a new way to render objects or something like that. Where was I going? There's, oh, no, I
Nice.
Damn it.
I think you need another sip of beer.
No. Yeah, anyways. No, I know now. But there's the worry that the game will never come out and will be the greatest disaster of all time, and we'll get the best like lessons learned of all time from a crowdfunding game like that. Like what happens when you give a developer almost $1 billion and they give you nothing? What happens in that scenario? I don't know. Like that, as far as Kickstarter is concerned, that money's gone, right? Once you give the money to the developer, it's gone. So they have almost $1 billion. Are they required to produce a game? I don't think so. It's a Kickstarter. You know what I mean? They do the best they can.
Yeah, I mean, that's a topic for another day, but that's been the problem with Kickstarter, is that people expect something and then don't get it. Basically, Kickstarter is a place to invest. and investments don't always work. And
Right.
that's not how Kickstarter is being sold to people.
No, you're right. It's not, especially not for Star Citizen. God, this fucking game. Okay, let's get off this topic and move on to number 5. Twitch growth. Now, this is what I want to talk about like all week. So I'm part of this group called Twitch Kittens, which is a Twitch kind of streaming community. They are awesome people in general, but they have their own Discord, which is like that. I think there might be 10,000 users on the Discord or something, and you could search Twitch Kittens as a community on Twitch and find hundreds of channels at any time. And the community is good for a couple of reasons. One of them, they have this thing where during the day, I say during the day, but it's also at night. During any day, they have their admin staff or whatever you call it. They call it like TK reps or something. But they lead this sort of raid charge to where there'll be a list of people streaming. Because on Discord, you can link your Twitch to Discord, then it'll show when you're streaming whatever game. So they have a list of whoever's streaming from the group of like 12,000 users or 10,000 users. And the admins will start up what they call a raid launch. So all of a sudden they'll start promoting the channel. Hey, we're going to raid in 20 minutes. And I'm not going to tell you the target yet, but we're going to raid someone. And when they do that, everyone just charges into that Twitch user's channel and says hello and, throws emotes everywhere. And, they get a lot of follows. Sometimes they get bits and donations and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy because it's a really good way to self-promote the group. You know what I mean? There could be a Twitch user that just joined the community, has one viewer, and all of a sudden the Twitch Kittens raid goes in there, and now he has 100 followers. Something like that. And it's always chosen. I don't want to assume how it's chosen, actually. I'm not part of the team that chooses. So I like to think that it's random. I'm betting it's random. But I'm assuming they don't go through and just pick out, someone they want, But so far it's been great. And the community is really helpful in terms of there's new streamers and they are lost on some small technical things that a lot of streamers get caught up on at the beginning. I know I talked about this last week, but when I first started streaming, there were so many issues with my setup and I couldn't find answers anywhere. It took me months to get everything right. So it would be way helpful if a veteran streamer knew what to do and I knew where to go to ask questions. So it's good in that regard as well. So let me take a breath. Okay. So one of the biggest questions that we get in the chat, and I say we because my favorite part of that chat is they have a questions help channel, which is basically where I hover and just answer questions because I love doing that. But the biggest question we get is, you know what? There's no one watching my channel. How do I get more people to watch my channel? That's the biggest thing. And everyone, you get the regular advice like, hey, maybe you should use a webcam because people feel more connected to a streamer if they see someone on a webcam. Or get notifications for when someone follows, or make an overlay, and all the usual, the basic kind of stuff. But a lot of these guys and girls in the Twitch Kittens group, their first goal is to make affiliate, and that's kind of like the ultimate goal is to get affiliate because then you get subs and all this stuff. And then the next step is, well, how do I get partner now? Which is 10,000 viewers or something like that gets you partner. I don't even know what it is, but it's a weird. That's what I have on the topic right now is affiliate question partner. What is the question marks? How do you make the move either from the regular streamer to affiliate, which we know there's a checklist to get there, and then how do you make the move from affiliate to partner? And it's like a weird system when you think about, and you and I have actually talked about this before. We like to play certain games. I prefer to play certain games, but you might see that game is either not being watched at all, or that game has a super saturated market on Twitch, So you got to kind of come up with your own niche, your own special thing, a reason for people to come to your channel and not somewhere else to watch the same game they watch. But there's a lot of suggestions, there's a website called twitchstrike.com, which does some sort of analysis on each game that's on Twitch and gives it a rating based on the number of channels available for that game, the amount of people streaming it, and the amount of people that hold the most viewers by percentage of that game. So there might be one game that's that's not play, like Super Mario World 3 or something is being streamed on Twitch, and there's maybe 50 channels that do it, but the top 2 channels have all the viewers. So Twitch Strike would rate that pretty high as if you start streaming Super Mario World 3, you have a higher probability chance to get a lot of those viewers. You know what I mean? Because there's only some people like to bounce around channels and all that. So it's been kind of interesting trying to figure out exactly how to grow viewership versus remain playing what you like. And if you're going to remain playing what you like, do you sort of relegate yourself to being a small streamer instead of a big streamer? What do you think?
Well, so the problem is there's no one answer. Everyone thinks that if you just do A, B, and C, you're going to be the next great Twitch streamer, and that's just not how it works. I can't really speak to how you get from affiliate to partner, but I can speak to how you get to affiliate. And I think both of us really, in the last 6 months, have really started doing the better job of this, and that is we pick a few times a day that we're going to stream, and we pick a few games that we're going to play. And so, like, I stream Marvel Future Fight, do a little speed run, but I do it Mondays. And so that I get a very consistent number of people who come to see that every week, because they know around this time I'm going to be streaming this game, and I'm going to be doing this specific game mode, and putting a little spin on it, which is a speed run. It's not a speed running part of the game is not a speed run, but because it's sort of a grindy thing that's done every week, to make it more exciting, I speed run it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are other times where it's like, oh, I'm going to play this RPG. I'm going to play it Tuesday and Thursday. And you can watch the whole thing, and you don't have to actually, for something like an RPG, it can be really good. If it's a game you'll never play, it can be a very good game to watch on stream, because you can get the experience of playing the game while not actually playing the game.
Right.
But
yeah.
Once again, it's a consistency thing. So if somebody misses, like if you do Tuesday, Thursday, but then you have a random pop-up Friday stream, and then the person comes back on the following Tuesday and they've missed this whole chunk of game, they're likely to not stick around.
That's interesting, yeah. And that would depend heavily on the game mode, too, I would presume. The game type.
Yes. And like when you play PUBG, you used to do whatever it was, I think it was Wednesdays, where you would play with the other Hero Squad guys. And, it was pretty consistent. Hey, you might play PUBG on Monday, but there's this whole different PUBG experience if you come on Wednesday. And
true.
that this is going to be what it is. So, I mean, you talk about how those guys play very differently than you do when you play solo, whatever. So you can get this totally different experience. And so for me, there's a lot of the consistency behind it so that people can watch it, sort of like TV shows used to be before Netflix. You used to know when Seinfeld was coming on. You used to know when PTI is coming on, whatever the show is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of that. Now, as for your actual content, for me, I always feel that there's two parts to it: the quality of gameplay and the entertainment of the person. So I know back in the Puzzle and Dragons days, I was not exactly the best player at the game. In fact, a lot of people would argue I was really bad at the game. But the content was interesting because I was doing things that nobody else was doing. Because I wasn't good, I had to overcome that. I had to do other things. I couldn't just pick the best stuff because I couldn't do it. So I know a lot of people would just come in and be like, I don't come to watch the gameplay. I come to hang out, because everyone's here just hanging out, having a good time. And for me, that's fine. I don't want to be the next great whoever at a game. That's not for me. And I think to have your stream be entertaining, you need to understand sort of your limitations and your highlights, and to focus on what you do well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's sort of what we talked about a little bit in this Discord channel, was that, and I totally agree, by the way, with all the points you made. Though there's two types of different stream. Like, there's a reason to watch someone like Shroud, who is one of the more popular streamers in the world. He streams Fortnite and PUBG. You watch him because in any one round he's killing 35 people. You know what I mean? He's a ridiculous player. Then there's a guy like the Doc, who you watch that guy just for the entertainment value of the stream. He's good. He's not near as good as Shroud or any of the best players, but he's he's still better than average. But his is more, okay, what weirdo segment is he doing now, and what kind of persona, and how mad is he gonna get, and how much spit is he gonna throw onto the screen, like that kind of stuff. There's it's a completely different stream approach, and I think you're right in that you sort of have to find out what works for you. You know what I mean? If you're not in the top 1% of players in that game in the world, gameplay wise, you got to make it fun somehow. You got to make a reason for people to come back and check out your stream.
Right, and you could have a, hey, I'm trying to rank up kind of stream. Like, I'm trying to get good. I'm not good right now, but I'm trying to get good. But your other point of and still doing something that you like, there are not very many streamers that do well that play games they don't like.
Totally agree. Yeah,
because of how much you have to play it, you have to enjoy it, and you have guys who say, "Oh, I hate this game. I hate this game." You don't have to play it 60 hours a week. You know what I mean? Like, it comes across when you don't like the game, and there's a difference between raging in the moment and actually disliking a game. So you have a lot of people say, "I hate this game. I hate this game." When they die, they flip out and totally rage, and they say how much they hate the game. Well, they just hate the game right this minute because they lost.
Right.
But tomorrow morning, when it comes time to stream again, do you know what game they're playing? To this game that they actually like, but get angry at sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And that's actually a suggestion that we've made in the Twitch Kittens chat a lot. When people come in and ask us, okay, so I just started streaming today. What game should I stream? And the answer is always, what game do you feel like playing today? You know what I mean? Because like you said, I'm not going to someone's channel where someone's just pouting the whole time because I have to play some garbage that they don't like. Like that's why I don't stream Fortnite. I think I tried it out one night. Like, I tried to play it one single time. I got killed by a guy that was like building steps all around me, and like I had no idea what was going on, and I just quit the game. It's not fun. I went back to PUBG. But I totally agree that it needs to be fun for you. Otherwise, that'll be really, really apparent to the viewers. Like, if you're not having fun and not smiling while you're playing a game.
It's not only smiling; it's that, like, I don't know. You want to interact with the viewer, and the viewers don't want to see depressed. Like, if you don't want to be in your own stream, then why would a viewer want to be in your stream? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if you don't want to watch you playing the game, then why would somebody else? Then that's really as simple as I could put it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
As I say, part of the problem, though, you can get into with games is really walling yourself off from viewers. Like, I know my problem has been the games that I play. I play weirdo RPGs that people haven't heard of, that are a little different, very anime.
Oh, the Robot Girls, or whatever that game is. I'm not sure.
Valkyrie. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's an anime fan service version of Dynasty Warriors for anybody that's not familiar with the game.
Gotcha.
I don't know. They're very chill games. They're very, you can pick up and play for 20 minutes. Those are the kind of games that I like. The problem is, I think other people do like them. They just either don't know they exist, or they've already played them and there's no reason to watch. Because multiple playthroughs, I'd say once you 100% the game, there's literally nothing in the game for you. Like multiple replays don't really provide anything. So it's tough.
Yeah, which happens to a lot of games. Yeah.
But conversely, if you have a game like PUBG, there are 1,000 streams on right now.
Yeah, yeah.
How am I supposed to find you?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's that weird balance of finding sort of the right kind of mix. I know a lot of people have mentioned that Like, they played Counter-Strike before it got really big. And so they sort of have built in a following. And by the time they got bored with Counter-Strike, Counter-Strike was starting to like peak, and then they moved off to, whatever, World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's another game that has 1,000 streamers right now.
Oh, yeah.
So then they had this like built-in audience. Say 50% of those people that watched them play Counter-Strike moved over to watching them play WoW. So now they're not starting with 2 viewers. They're starting with 60 viewers. And now you're not at the bottom. You're kind of in the upper half. And, that's one way to make it work.
Right. And it's funny you say that, because there's a guy who is a part of Twitch Kittens named Jimorian, who's actually, if you look him up on Twitch, it's Jim. It sounds like, Jimorian. He streams Kerbal Space Program almost exclusively. He did mention that he had tried streaming more Minecraft, and he got more following from Minecraft, actually. And when he went back to Kerbal Space Program, I mean, it's like 400 or 500 people watching him, building rockets and launching them. And I started watching the game thinking, I started watching a stream one day thinking, I have no interest in this game at all. I work for NASA. That's what we do. I have no interest whatsoever to play Kerbal Space Program.
Okay, you don't build spacecraft. So let's dial it back just a little bit.
We build ground systems. That's true. You're right. We don't build space launch vehicles. You're right. But
we build paper and virtual versions of things.
Right. And so during the stream, like, it's a very relaxed stream, and it's just him building different rockets and different launch vehicles, and then launching them and seeing. I guess I don't really understand the point of the game. I saw him launch something, and then it orbited a little bit, and then it came back down. That's the gist of the game, I think. I'm not sure. But he was talking about how, well, first of all, he has like a really interesting metric to measure his stream growth, where he has this Excel sheet where he tracks the average amount of viewers per week. So every time the average amount of viewers per week goes up, he raises what he calls like the stream level, and he marks it like on his overlay, saying now we're at a stream level 4, which means this week we've averaged 80 viewers or something like that, or 80 followers. I can't remember his metric, but it was an interesting way for him to track both his viewer growth and at the same time kind of compare that to what games he was playing to figure out where he could go. And he was talking about 2 other guys who do streams, and I mentioned them to you. They're guys that are really, really interested in NASA stuff and NOAA stuff and Air Force stuff. And they do like live streams where they'll go on site to a launch and stream the launch, and it'll stream through their Twitch. It's pretty interesting. They get, thousands of viewers watching these guys. But they mainly play Kerbal Space Program, and they've been having a hard time even getting into another game, to the point where they'll have to cut the stream early to go play something they actually want to play, which is kind of a strange world when you build a following such that, like, for instance, the Doc or like Ninja, where you're talking about, 20 or 30,000 viewers a day watching you play one game. Like, how do you manage to move to something you're interested in before your interest in streaming dies? You know what I mean? That is, however, under the assumption that the lost interest in streaming is not made up for by the $100,000 a month you're making from streaming. So that's a weird, a blend of aspirations. But he was basically saying that what they came up with was they would have their regular streams. They'd stream like 5 days a week of the Kerbal Space Program. And then at the end of like the last day, like the last 2 hours of one of the streams, they would say, okay, this is the hour of playing whatever I want. And they would go play PUBG or something for like an hour and sort of try to ease their viewer base into them playing another game and monitor how many viewers they lose or how many followers they gain. So it's a weird equation. That is taking it very, very seriously, which I think that once you start averaging like 1,000 viewers a stream and, maybe hundreds of subscribers, then maybe you need to take a better math look at how to maintain your viewer base and maintain an income like that. But it was pretty interesting to see them like struggling to play what they want. You know what I mean? It's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, back in the Puzzle and Dragons days, I was averaging 40, 50 viewers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I tell people, you start streaming and let me know when you get to 40 or 50 viewers. It's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
But at some point, after 2.5 years, Pad wasn't doing it for me anymore, and I had to play something else.
Yeah.
And you know what? My viewer count has never been the same. And I tried several things, easing into it. I took a lot of time off and then came back. Uh, but it's tough to say what to do. Like I know I stream and I have people from the Pad days just come by to say what's up because they remember all those streams.
Right.
It's like, hey, I want to see what you're up to, how you're doing, all that, and we chat for a little bit, and some of them stick around and they just say, hey, I'm gonna lurk for a little bit, and I'll catch you here and there. And other people are like, this isn't really my thing. If you play Pad again, let me know, and I'll be right there. So it's weird, I don't think there is a good answer for how to transition somebody. It's much easier when you go from a first-person shooter to a first-person shooter.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Go from a first-person shooter to an RPG, it's really tough to sort of keep those people around.
Yeah, because the speed is completely different in those games.
Yeah, and I think that's where the personality of someone comes in. And, even with the games I play now, the people that I have in my stream stick around, they're like not there for the game. They're there to hang out and ask me my opinions on, anything, whether it's, space stuff or it's, what the president's up to, or it's, the new Deadpool trailer, or it's, whatever.
Right. And, they're coming back to talk to you and not necessarily watch.
Yeah. And I think that's, to me, like that's what I want. That's the kind of stream that I want.
Right.
And, maybe my personality is just not good enough to ever have a big stream. And, that's just what it is. I'm sure there are things I could change, about how I do it, but I don't know. I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is a hobby for me. I'm not trying to make a job,
right?
Which is also a different thing. A lot of the big streamers are doing this as their job. They're putting in 8-10 hours a day, maybe not streaming, but doing networking and
the background stuff. The infrastructure stuff.
So you got to do what's comfortable for you. Comfortable you are, and the more comfortable you are with your presentation, the better I think your stream is. I know there are streams, especially in Pad, where it's a guy just playing a game with no mic and no sound, and I just go in there and I'm like, I would really love to promote your channel, but this sucks.
Yeah, exactly. I was telling someone today when they were asking if they need a webcam to stream, and I told them straight up, you don't necessarily need to. But for me personally, if I go into a stream that I've never been into before, and you don't have a webcam and you're not talking to me, you know what I mean, when I type something, I'm not gonna stick around. I'm not wasting my time. If I want to watch a gameplay video, I go to YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, like Twitch is mostly like background stuff.
Yeah.
So like I'm kind of paying attention, but I'm really doing something else. And so like when I hear a joke or I hear or whatever, then that turns my attention, and that's fine.
Right.
But when you don't have a webcam, you don't have these things, you're never going to get my attention. And
exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, the basics to a stream for anybody is obviously a webcam, a microphone, and a game you like. And I guess a steady schedule, so I know when to find you. Those would be my 4 big things that you have to have.
Yeah, actually, and it's funny that the schedule thing came in, because that's one of the most common first tips, is to have a consistent schedule. And that's one thing I didn't like. I had all the rest of the stuff, no problem with the consistent schedule. I had, but it wasn't important to me for a while, until, like you said, you start to think about, well, if someone's really invested in seeing your stream, they're going to think, well, I need to get all my stuff done because, at 9 o'clock, Mosh is going to start streaming. So I need to be ready to watch. If they're interested in something like that. Same thing with the Doc's viewers. The Doc comes on at 3 o'clock or whenever, noon or something. People are there 5 minutes before a stream starts, and the chat is just spamming garbage because people know that he's about to start streaming. It's a really important aspect to starting to streaming, and I took it for granted for a long time. But that's a good tip. I wanted to end on the so last night there's a streamer named Ninja. He streams Fortnite. He's the guy that played with Drake. pretty sure he's still like the highest concurrent viewers on Twitch. He's still like 100,000 every stream. And he last night at the end of his stream, he's like, let's go raid somebody. And I guess he doesn't do this very often, but he's like, let's just go raid someone that I don't know. So he just looked through, like, took the Fortnite list and just scrolled through it and picked someone random to go raid. And that person went from like 50 followers to like 10,000 in one setting, and then got like 100 subs in the span of 2 minutes or something like that. So it's like there's some there we were talking about today, in that there's some aspect of being ready in case it ever happens, meaning, you know, don't just do nothing on the stream, be entertaining. You know what I mean? You don't have to necessarily change up when all these people all of a sudden rush into your room, but, you know, at least be interactive with the crowd when they come in to keep them around, you know? And two, to sort of, you know, be ready for that change, and also to, you know, pass that on. Like the importance of, now that they've introduced rating to Twitch, because they didn't have that for a while, I think, when we started, but the importance of between rating and hosting, like when you finish a stream, everyone has their auto host schedule, right? So it's all your friends, and for us, you know, it's the Hero Squad group and some other people. There's so when you raid someone, it puts all your users into their channel, which increases their viewer count, which obviously moves them up on the viewership list on Twitch. You know, if someone searches for that game, so it's a really powerful tool to boost someone's channel. And the fact that Ninja did that was like, you know, made this guy instantly the #1 streamer of Fortnite after the #1 streamer quit and pushed all of his viewers to somebody else. So it was really pretty interesting to think about. Is that, I mean, it probably should be the normal etiquette, I think. But how influential that can be to someone's Twitch, and I hate to use this word, I hate it, but Twitch career, you know what I mean? Twitch, their Twitch hobby, their Twitch life, how influential that can be to all of a sudden push all these extra viewers into someone's raid channel, or someone's Twitch channel via a raid.
Yeah, you know, once again, back in the pad days, for a little while, I was the #1 pad streamer.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to grow the community, because back then there were not many of us. You know, like once you quit and Killer quit, you know, it was just kind of me and some guys with bad streams. So,
right.
You know, like I did a lot of YouTube videos on how to stream pad, and, you know, how you set up OBS and to do these things. And, you know, when I was ending my stream, if I saw somebody else playing and they met this like minimum threshold I have of a webcam and a microphone and
right.
the game,
I could
right?
see you on the stream. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I would just host them, and these guys would like get 40 viewers, and they would just be like, what is happening? You know, like, and there were some kids like, oh my God, this is so easy. This, you know, Twitch is the easiest thing to get viewers. It's like, I don't think you know what just happened.
Right.
You know, they would take it for granted, but, you know, especially, once again, this goes back to loving your game. If you want to grow your game or your scene or whatever, those are the kind of things that you have to do. You have to be sort of, I don't know, a little selfless, right? Because you're giving up right. You can potentially lose viewers to this other person, like if you're streaming at the same time. You know, if somebody decides they're a better streamer, but in general, you will grow your community that way. Because somebody who finds whoever this is, right? So you said Ninja hosted some guy, Player X.
Yeah.
Well, now that Player X is high, there are people that will watch him, and he will probably think Ninja at some point. You know what I mean? And say this guy's never heard of Ninja. Now he's like, who's this guy? So you can sort of like, you know, grow your whole community, and everybody benefits from it. But you know, it doesn't always work that way. But it all starts with people wanting to do those sorts of things.
True. Yeah, and I know that's one thing I've been trying to do more is I'm really bad, like at the end of the night, because I'll sometimes stream so late. You know, I scheduled to stream till midnight. Usually I'm streaming till 1, 2, sometimes, you know, there was 3 o'clock the other night with Nino Kune. So I was, you know, I'm trying to make it a point to do more end of stream rating than just sign off. You know what I mean? Sort of pass it around, because then, you know, you get positive. It's like a positive feedback loop. Basically what you're saying is, you know, that guy, you know, Ninja rated his channel, then maybe he would say, oh, you know, Ninja's amazing, you know, go follow his channel, and then it becomes like Ninja gets more subs, then the next person he raids, it's like a waterfall effect down through the Twitch viewership, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, as long as everyone understands, how the whole thing works, it's a good thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I need to do better at that for sure. That's my goal for this week. Every night of the week this week, I need to raid somebody. Every night. I need to make that my goal. And probably someone from the 500 channel Twitch Kittens team maybe will probably end up being it. So let me see what we got next. I know we're like super long. Oh God, I'm like messing all this up. Okay. So this is not really something that we can. It looks like you're in a spaceship. That's funny. You should say that. This back when we're working on the work that we're doing, Lynn, I was like, I just put something together to try something out for this week to see if I actually like the design. And the background that I'm using is a rendition of the Death Star, so it is a spaceship in actuality. So this one is not really a topic to discuss. It's really more like this is interesting news from the week in that Google has joined the developer parade of cloud services. They sort of did before. Like you could host your games on the Google Cloud, no problem. Same thing as AWS and the Microsoft Cloud, which is named something, but I don't remember the developer portion. But it was announced like Tuesday of last week, I think. I saw the article that Google and Ubisoft are teaming up to put this thing called, and I'm gonna mess up this pronunciation, but I think it's Agonies or something like that. It's it's Greek, so it's probably Agonies. But it's their like developer framework for a cloud service. So game developers can use that service or code to that service, service, which basically makes their multiplayer games not so claustrophobic, to where it can kind of dynamically change if you need more server space and all that. It's basically a lot of technology that many other games have already done, but now Google's putting their hat into the ring, basically. So now you have 3 options instead of 2. You don't just have to go to AWS. The topic that probably matters most to you and I is the RPGs coming to the PC. Let me. So this last week was obviously Ni no Kuni was released. You are actually the person that turned me on to the first Ni no Kuni, and I remember when it came out, almost every single day at work was, how come you don't have a PS3 and why aren't you playing Ni no Kuni right now? And that was one of the things I actually thought about buying for the PlayStation 4 when it came out. I can't remember. You can play Ni no Kuni 1 for PlayStation 4, right? I think so.
I don't know. But here's how I would describe Ni no Kuni, is that the first one is that it's a very, very good game. It's not Chrono Trigger. It's not Final Fantasy VII. It's not, the top. It's not the top 5. But those games are so few and far between, especially now. Like way back when, you got Final Fantasy VI, and you got Secret of Mana, and you got Chrono Trigger in the span of 3 years. But now it's like, there was Ni no Kuni, and before that it was, I don't know, Final Fantasy X. You know what I mean? Like, there's like these big gaps between like really, really good RPGs, like really well polished, really fun to play. A lot of RPGs, they had flaws, like could overcome them because you like the other aspects, but you knew it was a flawed game. And Ni no Kuni, maybe the mechanics didn't work for you, but because there are different sort of fighting systems in RPGs. Yeah. And so maybe this one necessarily doesn't work for you. But as a whole, like the leveling system was really good. It's, you feel like you're always making progress. The game is really beautiful. The story is actually a good story. That it's not this like, it's a little predictable, but it's not this totally predictable thing. You're not this emo kid who doesn't want to be the hero and cries the entire game. Like
JRPGs.
all of these things sort of are like not there. So you play it and you're like, oh my God, there are good RPGs.
Right.
And so that's why I kept telling you to play Ni no Kuni, is because not because it's the greatest game I've ever played, but because it had been so long since I had played one that it's nice to have that feeling again.
Yeah, true. And it's funny you say that because I started streaming Ni no Kuni 2 on Friday, and in my regular scheduled stream from 9 until midnight, I literally was up till 3 a.m. playing it. It's a really, really good game. The one thing I would say, and which is kind of a joke on the Nino hard mode, is that it's really easy. It's incredibly easy. And to the point where when I make it to a new town, usually the first thing you do in a JRPG is what? You go to the town blacksmith or something and buy some new gear. In this one, I have like way too much money, and there's just no point in buying weapons. I just slaughter everything as soon as I see it. Luckily, a friend of mine who's been playing it probably nonstop, because that's how he plays games. He's probably like 20 hours deep already. He says that once it hits about mid-range in the game and you start going to dungeons, it gets real hard. So I'm kind of excited to get to that point. But this game so far is excellent, and I hope that the sales for PC have been good enough to warrant more and more RPGs coming. There's some talk that maybe Persona 5 is coming to PC. And in that case, does that mean that the rest of the Persona series is coming as well? That'd be freaking awesome. The more RPGs for the PC, the better. The more games in general for the PC, the better. Because I don't like consoles. I have them all. I don't like them.
It was about 3 years ago. There were like no RPGs on Steam.
Right.
Like literally zero.
That was it.
Yeah, the RPGs were Skyrim, which to me is not an RPG. I mean,
it's not a JRPG in the classic sense of RPG.
Yeah, it's not an RPG in the sense of an RPG that I grew up playing.
Right.
People have expanded the term of RPG, and that's fine, whatever. But for an old man, it's not an RPG. But now you've got like all the Final Fantasy games, pretty much. Yeah. You've got the Sky games. You've got the anime games that I play, the Hyperdimension Neptunia. You got just so many more games. And I know they've brought back like Secret of Mana, which apparently is
bad,
not the same, but but they are trying to bring these things back, and it's cool that there are people that want to play them, and it's cool that there are people that have heard so much about these games, and now they're like getting the opportunity to try them out. I don't know, it's really neat. As a fan of the genre, it's cool.
What I hope the next step is? Madden on the PC. Let's get more sports games on the PC.
As long as Origin exists, you're not going to be seeing that. I hate to break it to you.
Every time I go to the Origin store, I always go, let me check out the sports games, see what they got. Every single FIFA title that's ever been made, and then NHL 09. It's the only thing on there. And Madden 2005. I don't know. Like, those are the last 2 years they put out any, American sports games. I don't want to say FIFA is not an American sports game. There's billions of FIFA players, but soccer in general is not an American sport. I mean, not the built into the fiber, the fiber of American culture. Soccer is not one of those things. So,
all right, maybe I can convince you. You should come down here. We can go to a crew game. You can experience American soccer.
That would be interesting. That's a summer sport, right?
It's already started.
Okay.
Crew are 2-0-1.
Maybe sometime after the draft when there's no more NFL news. As long as my players aren't, getting themselves tweaked out on drugs and trying to dive out of hotel room balconies.
Although I don't know, maybe we should get together for the first round of the draft.
That would be a good idea.
Since I don't have a traditional job, because it's probably on like a Thursday.
We should probably look up when that is, because it'll be a big draft, especially for Bills fans, and especially for Browns fans. Maybe for every fan. I don't know, the top 5 fans, top 5 teams.
I don't know. We're picking so far down, and we're only at 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
You don't know what's going to happen. By 10, everything's on the table. So
every quarterback, in the whole draft is fun.
You guys are picking what? 6, 5?
Right now we're picking 12.
12?
But we're probably going to move up.
Yes, you've acquired all those draft picks. There's just an idea that you're going to move up. So
right. All right. So just to sort of wrap up what we're doing this week, So what games are we playing this week? Ni no Kuni is still on deck. That might be a game that I play like every other day. I'm kind of excited to play a little bit tonight. If I walk over to my computer in between on the break here and I see that guys have messaged me about PUBG, I might just dip right into that because it's been like 5 days since I shot someone in that game. Or, more likely, since I looted something in an empty house and then someone jumped through a window and shotgunned me to death. Which is what happened like 12 games in a row last time I played. I don't think I lasted more than about 3 minutes. So that game's up. I know that Far Cry 5 comes out tonight. It came out at 9. It is out currently. It's probably the number one game on Twitch right now. That game's out. I heard there's good co-op. I'm not getting it right away. If it turns out to be awesome, I may pick it up on some discount sale, but that won't be anytime soon. I wasn't too into the last Far Cry games. Anyways, that's it. As usual, any type of feedback, send me a message. Send me a Twitch message or Instagram. All this information can be found below this screen right now. Go send me a message on there. Tell me it sucks. Tell me what's awesome. You can follow Mike at his... I wonder if I still have that. Yes! That is Twitch at the bottom of the screen. You can go to his channel and watch him play the Robot Girls game. Or Marvel Final Fight? Future Fight. Future Fight, thank you. But he streams oftentimes in the afternoon too. So it's pretty, catch his stream for sure. That's it. Mike, thank you for coming on the show this week. Thank you for testing out this sort of in-between phase stage of my newsroom show. And that's it. If you give me a few minutes, I'll be back in the game studio. And I'll see you in a minute. Thanks again, Mike.
All right, later, Mosh.